This is the Future of the Future show. I am your host, Mateo Berbejicio. This episode is about running operations for a software development company. What does it mean to run operations? What are the keys to success? How do you keep up with all the moving pieces? These are some of the questions I will be asking to our very own Agustina Suarez, Operations Manager at Xseed Solutions. Mind you, I am as biased as it gets because I have the privilege of working with Agus daily and I know what she's capable of. She is the reason I can go on vacations and simply forget about work. Need I say more? But I will let you learn more on your own, and I promise I will stick to asking questions only. With that said, Agus, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mate, and thank you for the warm intro. I didn't expect that, so thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Agus, and I'm happy that you liked it. You deserve that, and so much more. Agus, let's get started with the very basics. What do you do today for a living?
Great. Well, as you said, I'm currently working as Ops Manager here at Xseed. It has been almost 3 years now, a little bit less. And as such, as an Ops Manager, I manage the whole cycle of the client, right? Since you close the deal, you would say, hey, Agus, the Ops team, this client is ready to sign off everything. And then we start to work closely with the client until the last date, if we have one. If not, our main goal is the client to stay happy at Xseed with the team that he really is looking to work with. So mainly everything that has to do with client relationship, the internal processes at Xseed also. It's like, maybe I'm jumping in, but it's like I always like to say that we have two stakeholders in operation part, right? We have the client that is Xseed stakeholder, and also we have the devs, the engineers, the people that actually do the job, the work. That's our other stakeholder, because we have to make sure that we have a synergy between the client and them. So we have to balance both parties.
Very, very true. And just to get a sense of size here, um, how many clients more or less are you dealing with today?
Clients in the staff augmentation part, we are plus 20, I think around 25, if I'm not mistaken. Currently closing 3, for example, this week. So the number is always changing. We hope to be around 30 next month. And then we have more clients in the fixed scope project, that it's the most typical like software factory part where we build something. It can be a website, a whole app, for example, and those clients are always changing because we are development certain products, and when that finish, that's it, right? So currently in the fixed scope projects, we have 8 projects going on, so it's in total 35 clients, more or less.
Very good. And in terms of people, how many people are doing development, both in staff augmentation and projects and freelancers?
Everything is plus 60. We have, well, I mistake. It has to be around 70, because we have 52, 53 in staff augmentation, plus the freelancers, the PM, everyone. It's around 70. So we have a large group making sure that the clients are happy.
How many of us were there when you got started in Xseed?
I think we were 20 devs and 6 clients. I'm pretty sure that we only have the staff augmentation part with 6 clients. So it was a journey for sure in these 3 years to see how Xseed growth and be able to be here, right? And help with that.
Thank you, God, for bringing Agus to my life. How did you get started in technology? Tell me that. Let's go back in memory lane. Think about your story and how you got started.
Well, that's a great question because actually my background is in communication, so it has nothing to do with tech. I study marketing and I started my career in that field. But I was always curious about everything. Actually, my parents, for example, they thought I was going to be an engineer, then an architect, like stuff like that, because I was always curious on how these things work, right? Like maybe a computer will break down and I will like open it and to see what was connected with what. And so I was always curious, but when I had to choose like where to start, I say, okay, I'm going to start with the most generic path, right? That is communication. It's really broad. You can do whatever you like mostly. And then I said, if I want to choose something else, I would. So I studied communication. I started in marketing, and when I was head of marketing, I was starting to, have that curious part coming on again, saying, "Okay, I think like you will need a basic set of skills right now for anyone that is like to know how to maybe read code or to know how to build your website, like stuff that for me were basic, but I didn't know." So I started in that year. I remember like seeing courses, or actually I took an interview in one of the universities here in Uruguay. But when I was thinking on what to do, if I would like drop college or my job to actually like study, coding, basically, I saw in Instagram, props to Instagram and the advertisement, prompting right now, the algorithm actually works because I saw the advertisement of UX UI agency. It's like a really, how to say, like boutique one, right? And I love the brand, the company, how they present themselves, everything. And the advertisement were that they were looking for a PM, a project manager. I have no clue what a project manager was. So I remember Googling. And when I saw, I had all the soft skills, right? Because I was currently, as I said, working marketing, working closely with um, stakeholders, like final ones, with the commercial part, doing forecasts of new launches of products. So I had like everything in my expertise, let's say. But I didn't have the tech part, right? Like I didn't know, of course, agile methodologies, I was like zero. Um, More basically like more the basic level, like I didn't knew like, okay, you want to build a website, where to start? No idea. But I was super honest in the interview, like, hey, I don't know those things that I know they are part of the job actually, but I would love to learn. And that was my getaway into tech. And in that first job, I was able to actually learn everything. Was a great opportunity because as it was an agency that built the products that they design, I learned from scratch. Like when a client came with an idea, with maybe it would be a rough idea. I want to build a web app to do, I don't know, make X solution. And I will moderate the workshops, the discovery ones. So I will understand, okay, how the owner think, how the user would actually use the app or web app or whatever. And then we have to actually make it real from the design to the dev part. So it was like a crash course for sure. Like it was a great experience. And then I was always working in the ops part area, right? Like PM, now ops manager. So that was the turn.
Very good. And do you think so your marketing skills, your communication skills, like you said, were more broad, generic, more on the communication side. Do you think that helped you a little bit on understanding the product behind the software and the business and really understanding what customers needed and then being good at translating, okay, this is what you need because these are your customers and this is where you're going to provide value, etc. And then talk to the technical teams and go like, okay, we're building this, but this is the why, and this is, do you think that helped you?
100%. And I think that's why we see, or at least I have seen a lot of people with that same background in the tech world, mostly in the product part, because I think we are used to um, being in the other side and thinking in other shoes. Sorry, let's say like when you are planning a campaign or something, you have to think, okay, I'm the user. Who am I? What's my hobbies, for example? How would I consume this actually? Not as the founder is thinking or you or the tech is thinking, like how the actual user is going to be using that and thinking. So it's really connected. And I think once you have the big picture and you really put yourself in that position, you start to see everything as one and starting to realizing like where the problem is. It's because we are not thinking as the user, or maybe it's not clear enough. So I think that's one of the skills that it's really used to it's really useful, sorry, for those kind of positions, right?
Very good. Um, Now let me ask you this. You started, you were a project manager, you learned a lot about in this company, and you had a few jobs, then you transitioned to Exceed. You started in Exceed managing operations. And at that point in time, that meant six customers, 20 people, and that has, almost quadrupled in size in all respects, right? More than that in clients, and more or less that in terms of how many people you're managing. Considering what you know today about what it means to run operations, do you think you knew ahead of time how your day to day would work when you started as a PM in that other company, or when I interviewed you and we said, hey, okay, you might start at Exceed, and what you know today? What are your thoughts?
Yes and no, but I will explain. As I said, I mostly work as a PM, right? And in all my previous one, like my previous jobs, I was the first and only PM. So I worked really closely to the COO. I was mostly them and I working, so I had a great vision of the operation part. Of course, I was more involved in the daily responsibilities and tasks and roadmaps of everything. But I knew what I had to do because it's something that I was already doing. Maybe not 100% focused on that. That was one of the big difference. I could like focus 100% on the company, right? On the operations of the company and the clients, and thinking like in the big pictures. But of course, as the operation area works, I think you never know what to expect because each day is different. It's like you can plan ahead, maybe tomorrow I have to do A, B, C, and stuff will come up, right? And so you have to be flexible on that. It was not a big deal in that sense. I think the most thing that was really different for me was managing another PMs. Why? Because I think you are, myself at least, was used to dealing with devs, with designers, with people that know what to do. They have a goal, right? They have a sprint or they have an end goal, and you will have tickets explain everything, like the definition of done. So it's really straightforward. Like when you have to give feedback or when you have to deal with them in any sense, it's tangible. And the way of communicating and making sure that they are happy, let's say, it's different. It's more straightforward. But when you have a team of PMs, it's different because they are dealing with pressure of the clients, pressure of how to communicate central feedback to the devs that they have. So of course, one of the main challenges that I still have is to learn how to push them to get better, uh, but always being, human in that sense, because you are dealing with another type of roles, responsibilities, backgrounds, and as I was saying, everything is more in the soft skills, mostly in those cases. So it's more on how you deliver things or what's the best approach for certain scenarios. So it's most it's challenging for sure, but it's really fun also. And I didn't expect that to feel the difference there. But it's great because you still have a lot of things to learn and to implement as well.
So two sides of the same coin, very hard dealing in terms of now you have a team of PMs and you have to help them go through what you went through a lot in your career, right? But it's about them and going through that and just helping them go through it in their own unique way, which is different for each person, right? But
Exactly. Yeah.
that's rewarding as well because now you're meeting different people and you are understanding how they think, what motivates them, what drives them, and what style of communication works best with each of them. It's certainly the biggest challenge of dealing with people. And how much energy do you feel a change in your energy because of this at the end of the day?
I used to. I don't know if it is due to the pandemic, COVID, and everything. I think our social battery are shorter than before. And of course, when you start to deal with those kind of issues or problems on to sit down, hear someone trying to really understand what they are saying or what they are not saying, and trying to give transparent feedback, right? When you have to give, like, let's say, feedback to improve on how to say every word matter in that sense, like on how, why, everything. So of course, when you finish a day where you have, a lot of things going on, you have a few of those sessions, maybe I will get tired. Nowadays, I think I manage that better. And also, as you mentioned, I already have a team and I know them. So it's different. Like when you have to handle certain problems or issue, I know how they think. So uh, you move faster and you know what to expect also. But at first, it was really consuming in that sense, like I wanted to make sure that each word or each interaction was the best possible. And now we know each other, we're friends, so, well, colleague, but it's a different type of relationship. And that actually helps when you have a problem with something, a delivery, a client, whatever, when you know the person behind the screen, mm, stuff move faster, they are more, straightforward. So yeah, basically.
Very good. Um, what do you like the most about your job?
Um, I think I can answer what I like the most and maybe what I don't like the most. It's the same thing. It depends on the day, mostly. That it's actually the same thing that I'm saying is the variety. Like you cannot plan, you don't have 2 days. 2 days are not the same. And that's great, but it also can be the worst. So it's always a mixed feeling. I know that we already talked about this, but when you have an idea, I like to plan my things to know, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do these things that I have in a list, but maybe you have to prioritize. And I think the number one duty on this kind of jobs, PM, ops manager, is to be able to prioritize things once and once again and each day. So that's great because if you are bored, for something, I'm sure that tomorrow something will come up and you are going to be entertained with something. But when you have, a list of things to do, like that you are seeing those things like for the past 3 days or more, it's like, I want to do those things. And maybe that's also the part of the job that is the harder one, to say, okay, I have to really to not feel bad when you have to leave some things on hold and tackle the most urgent and important ones, and then resume the other ones.
Very good. And what do you think are the skills and traits needed to succeed in an ops leadership role? You talked about a few of them, but if you had to
Mm.
summarize them, what do you think are the most important skills and traits?
Skills, yeah. Well, I just mentioned maybe it's number one. Number two is being able to prioritize the work, right? To distinguish between important, urgent, not so urgent. For example, that's number one or two because it's really close with the soft skills set. Because you may have, of course, you are not going to have everything in the set of soft skills, but to be able to really take a step back, see the big picture, to understand the players involved, whatever problem that you may have, or problem, or maybe when you are thinking on solutions, right? You are thinking on processes. You have to really sit down with the persons or people involved and make sure you understand the thought of process, what they're thinking, what they need, both sense, right? When you are thinking in a product and something is not clicking, something is not done, um, to hear the other person involved and really help them find a solution. So that's number one and two goes hand to hand. You have to have both. And then, of course, you have a lot of sets of soft skills regarding the tech part, the product, um, critical thinking, all the stuff. But I think the first and second thing that you will need is that prioritize what matters in the moment and be able to be human, to understand the other
Yeah,
person and their needs.
very good, very good. Um, and for the audience, I've seen how organized you are, right? And it comes like
Yeah.
a second nature for you. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you become a person that is so organized that was it a trait that you always had? Is this something that you bring from even from high school, or something that more as a grown up you developed?
I think you are the third or fourth people that ask me that. And my answer, it's weird because I think each one has their own way, to organize things, to know what works for you. So I think we don't have an answer on what actually works. For me, I always had this visual memory. Of course, the education that I had, I think that really pushed me to know what to do in order of those things, right? Like we're having a conversation to be able to extract the important information, to keep with that, what to do later, to make sure that the other person is in the same page, right? Like, okay, if we are finding a problem, to be um, maybe a little bit repetitive in that area, but to make sure that we are on the same page, like we are understanding the same, and then keeping track on that. So I think the education, yes, was part of a really big part on that sense, that I'm really organized. And also I had, I think, the thing on the memory that I said. I I take notes of everything, but I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one that can actually understand what's written down, because I will write, I don't know, I think I have 10 things here, like things that are not really words and all around the page. But as I have this memory, the visual memory, I will look and I remember, okay, I wrote this one down when I was in the meeting with Mateo regarding X theme, and I would do that, or I will set up a meeting for that. So I'm talking about everything, but to summarize everything,
I love it.
I
Let's
think
let's just let's just
yeah,
show I'm like you.
Well, that's more clean than mine, actually.
Yours
I'm
is
pretty
kind of
sure.
all over the place, but I'm sure it has some very sophisticated order to it. I'm sure.
Mine, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I try to, but I have days where everything looks more clean. Those are 1 day per month, mostly. But yeah, I think education was a big part for sure. I went to a German school, so we had a lot of things going on at the same time. Like I had um German exams with English ones and monographies also in the same year when I was like 15. And I think that really push you, to keep an order. And once again, this regarding the priorities, to know where to focus. So I think that also goes hand to hand, because if you start to take notes of each meeting that you goes and you try to write down everything that the parties are saying, that's not productive. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So to know where to put the effort, that's the first part, and then only how is whatever works for you. It can be notes on the Mac. I tried that. It's cleaner when you have to share the information, because it's copy paste. You will change something and that's it. But for me, I have to do something with my hand or to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It does something wonderful with the memory. I am, I consider myself old school in that sense, and I always say I write, therefore I exist, right? If I don't write, I go crazy. Now, if I put it down on a sheet of paper and I look at it and I go like, okay, yeah, okay, and I see it on my own
You
words,
will
yeah,
remember it. Yeah,
and remember, like you, I will remember the page itself, the
yeah,
maybe it has like a drawing or whatever, and I remember like, oh, this was here and this was there and this was like a photographic
yeah.
view of that paper. Um,
That's crazy. Mm, Off topic, but I remember being in an exam and they asked something, and I was so frustrated because I remember the page where I had, something regarding that topic. Like I remember like how the page was structured, but I didn't really remember the
the
actual like
thing,
information. So I
yeah,
was like, I know where it is exactly, but yeah, yeah. But it's great. Like you have to identify how you work, like what's best for you, and then you have a lot of tools and stuff, and it's a whole world that.
yeah. If someone is listening and they go like, "Oh, I really like the way that this sounds. I would love to be in operations and grow as a PM and maybe an operations manager, chief operating officer, etc. Whatever it is, right? What will be your advice for someone that is starting in their career and would like to do that?
Well, first I will ask them, okay, operation in what sense? What's the thing that you like the most? Is the client contact, the processes, sorry, the mm, most in the tech industry, managing teams, for example, because you have there a lot of things to do, and it's different the ops area in a software factory such as Xseed. Another thing is in a fintech, for example, where you have a lot of processes and you work closely with the legal area. So you have to find mostly what you like the most about this job, right? Maybe if you like to manage or to work most closely with the dev team, the designers, and to see one product being build and take life. Maybe a project manager or product manager is best because you are like really hands-on each step, each phase. And for that, you have a lot of courses and things that are great because those roles are a little bit more technical, not technical in the sense of knowing how to code, but on knowing the different phases that you have, the dependencies between technologies or roles. For example, if you are going to add a new feature, who are the persons that are going to be involved. So For that, I always recommend starting to read or to have, Google and Harvard had a lot of free courses that are great because they are a little bit more technical in that sense. Uh, if you ask me this question maybe 3 years ago, I will go with agile methodologies for sure. Nowadays, I will think not as closely as before, right? I would say 3 years ago, you have to do something regarding Scrum. I think it's great to know what you can choose, what you can use also, and what's best for you at the moment, but also to know what is around because each project, each client is going to be different, and you have to adapt to that. So maybe you cannot use Scrum for everything. But also is that this is a topic inside the technical part, right?
Right.
And then in the ops part, I think regarding depending, sorry, in the industry that you want to go deeper or the focus that you would like to have, you can have like a more knowledge background or pool of sorry, interests. For example, mm, a legal background is great when you are dealing with, I don't know, compliance things, and you have to open companies in another countries. You have a lot of things to move around that. So, uh, my recommendation is to think a little bit more on what you like and starting with that point to start to see, okay, how can I learn more about this? And what's a company that I would like to work, not only for focus on that company alone, but to understand what you are looking to do. And then to, it's mainly like to start to speak with people and start to see stuff that can help you. Because as I mentioned before, if you have the soft skills, you have the details on how to follow certain things, and you know how to prioritize your tasks, your problems, your everything, you can adapt in mainly every type of company, industry, everything, right? But certain background is going to help you with the more specific role that you are looking. I don't know if I answered your
You
question or
did,
you
you did, you
was
did.
really
This is
vague.
one. This is one that I will tell the audience: take a step back, rewind, listen to it again, think about it, and understand where you're going. Right? I think you basically, the way I would summarize it is, depending on where exactly in operations you want to go, you have to figure out your own path and choose what you need to learn. But first, you need to, operations is so broad that you need to understand what it means to you, right? And where
Exactly.
you're going. So I love it. I have one final random question to you, Aus. What do you do when you are not working?
Well, great question because once again, it's something that can change depending on the month. I just moved a few months ago, so the last 2 months I was 100% focused on that. Now that I'm mostly done with everything, and here is winter, so I'm seeing every show, movie that I can. But when spring comes, for sure, I'm going to resume walking. I love to walk, like to have a long walks with my dog. But right now, it's, weather is being awful, basically. So watching something at night.
Very good. Do you know what you are watching today, for example?
Today, not because I finished a few days ago Mobland, really cool in HBO, I think, with Tom Harley, I think it's called. I don't remember
Right.
the last name. Uh, it's great. But I just finished that, so I was seeing Friends in parallel with How I Met Your Mother with I don't remember what more. So nothing specific at the moment.
Very good, very good. Aus, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you do on a daily basis at Exceed, for being as patient as you are. Something that you didn't mention is, and people in the audience will not know if unless I say it, is I as a CEO, I'm a very anxious and demanding person, and you have to have a lot of resilience and patience to work with me. And Agus, you have a lot of that. I appreciate the way that you work, not only because of the results that you get, not only because of the type of person that you are, but because you can manage through all of those things that I have in a great way. So it's great to have your Xseed, and it's great that we were able to have this conversation today.
Thank you, thank you. It was a pleasure being here. I feel almost like in national television. So thank you for the opportunity.